Well, I grew up in the South Bronx in the late 50s and early 60s, and they did not pretend that you could educate all children then. We were tracked literally from the second grade, and once you were in a track, it was almost impossible to get out of it. A lot of my friends were tracked in classes that people just believed these kids couldn't learn. Today we have a system that doesn't track in the same way, but it produces the same results. And it doesn't matter whether you track or you don't track. If the results are the same, that vastly a tiny percentage of kids in some communities go on to college, and most of the kids don't. I thought it was unjust when I was a kid, and these were my friends, and I knew they were smart and they were talented. I think it's unjust today. I think, it's known that we have the shortest school year of almost any industrialized nation in the world. And over the summer, poor children actually lose ground because that's too much time for them to be away from academics. And so we need a structural change. We need to have a school year that at least goes through July. And that will allow us to have enough time on task to start catching our kids up. The other issue is that we've got to improve the talent pool coming into teaching. This is an issue that, the thing that creates great education is great teachers. There's no getting around it. This is not about do we have the right curriculum. You've got to have a person who is talented in front of those young people. And so we need talent literally by the millions as my generation begins to retire and leave the business. We need to have this influx of young and talented young people to come into teaching so that they can keep making progress and that they have the stamina to, I think, teach the type and the length of days that we need if we're going to have children be successful. I believe Americans are prepared to pay for quality education if they get the results. And if you look, we've more than doubled the education budget over the last 20 years, but we flatlined. It hasn't made a difference. And so Americans have this belief that money doesn't matter, right? Money does matter, but it has to be targeted in such a way that it drives results. And I think Americans are fully prepared to pay for something that works. But we have this sense that, we gave all this money, everything is still lousy, so I might as well keep the money and use it myself. Now, let me not put it in to our public schools. So our public schools need the resources, but they have to be spent in a different way. I had some great coaches and leaders. There was a gentleman named John Schlein who was a professor at Harvard and really was my first mentor. And his belief was that you could really solve children's issues if you thought about it and if you were prepared to, I think, do the kind of research and do the kind of testing to figure out what's working and what's not working. So John was a great mentor of mine. Another was another professor at Harvard named Dr. Bruce Baker, who was a behaviorist. And Bruce's philosophy, which I still believe in, was every child can learn, and if you don't believe it, watch me.